Brian Kelly versus Akash Naidu. The other reason Akash Naidu should have a Notion Thief in his deck is that you just get a way better deck name. Grixis Thieves is so much better than Grixis Control.
I mean, he already has Dak Faden. He's missing the greatest thief. That's like kind of like an upgrade. You take your deck into like the tuning shop, and then it's like, all right, let me add in Notion Thief.
It's
and
like
then
the detailing.
It's like, yeah, it's like pimp my deck.
Turn 1, Dak Faden. Wow, Akash is... It's not a bad 6. He's on the play with 6, so he's quartered down almost 2 cards, depending on how you count. Dak Faden's not going to get him back on card advantage, but if he can find some business, having artifact mana can be particularly good in a matchup like this, just being able to do things faster. Is that an Ancestral in Brian's hand?
Ancestral, Brainstorm, Mental Misstep.
Time Walk.
Time Walk.
No,
Dig
no
through time.
No Moxus, though, right?
No, I don't see a Mox there.
So the Ancestral risks forcing him to discard. It's an awkward spot. I mean, it's surprisingly awkward given how many restricted cards.
Yeah, you could fire this off in the upkeep.
That does mean Akash gets to untap, though, so you may actually wait.
You might wait to maybe end of turn. Or kind of throw out the Brainstorm first.
Yeah, he would prefer to Brainstorm fetch. Maybe he baits with Brainstorm to try to clear a path for Ancestral. Let's see how he plays this. Akash continues to use his Dak.
Looks like we're hitting a land pocket here for Akash.
What do you think of Infernoth as a deck name?
Usually when it's a Brian Kelly special, I like to just call it Brian Kelly Oath. BK Oath.
It's ambiguous at this point, though. How can it be Kelly Oath without Bomberman built into it? No Salvagers?
Yeah, but you got...
Tinker! Jeez! Turn 2, Dak Faden sets up turn 3, Tinker.
Brian Kelly's going to have to fire off here.
Yes.
He's got to fire off the Ancestral and hope it gets through.
Yeah, he can't deal with a Blightsteel Colossus.
He has a Mental Misstep to protect it if Akash has a Mental Misstep. If it's a Force of Will, it looks like it will be countered by Akash, though. I'm not sure what he has in his
Does Brian
hand.
play Dak or no?
He does not have Dak Faden.
Yeah, I didn't think so. I don't think.
Oh, no, he does. He has 2.
So Dak Faden is about the only thing he can do against a resolved Blightsteel. Oath is not going to be fast enough to deal with it.
And Inferno Titan is not going to do much.
I mean, it blocks for a turn, and then you get to Oath another one up, but like you're not going to deal 20 that way. So, response to the Tinker. Here's Ancestral Recall. Brian really needs a Force of Will. And he has to hope Akash is not holding Force of Will blue card.
Akash looks like that's going to resolve. Looks like he drew his Fire Spout. And a Pyro Blast.
Tinker resolves. Here comes Blightsteel Colossus.
Lotus, Dak Faden off the top somewhere, maybe.
I don't think he's got enough of the pieces. 11/11 Trample Infect. Yeah, it's risky against the blue deck. So many of the blue decks have Dak Faden that getting it stolen is obviously a catastrophe. I mean, I guess he can steal it back.
He can steal it back with Dak.
Yeah, he wins that fight, doesn't he?
Yeah, his Dak has higher loyalty already, so.
Well, Brian, I think Brian has a... Did you say he had a Pyroblast?
It looked like he had a Pyroblast. Or that could have been the Fire Spout.
In any case, can Brian Kelly deal with this Blightsteel? He's not scooping. Fetch Tropical. I guess we know he has a Brainstorm, so you wouldn't scoop without at least looking at the next 3.
Yeah, that's...
Time Walk will give him a redraw as well. I guess you walk first. Sure.
Yep, time walk. Kosh has a Snapcaster and couldn't see his other card. He has an Oath, Inferno Titan, Ancient Grudge. It looks like he's discarding now.
Yeah, I mean, he Ancestraled and drew no Mox, and not having any Mox is tough. It also makes it that much harder to top deck. I mean, he can top deck Dak, but then he's eventually going to lose that fight. Now that didn't look useful.
Nope, mental misstep off the top. Brainstorm.
Let's see if the next
Let's
three
get
have
digging.
an answer.
We
It's
got to
gotta
get
be
there.
like Dak Faden and a Mox, I think he needs.
Lotus, so that way he can fire off the Pyroblast to get rid of Kosh's Dak Faden.
There was the Mox. But I don't see a Dak Faden. Ancient Grudge is not going to work against the
Drew
indestructibility.
No, it looks like we're going to have a quick one here. Or did he draw Treasure Cruise?
Does that say Greatest Thief on Dak Faden? Is that what's going on? Can't
Not
quite read.
sure what that is.
I
on
think
Dak
it says
Faden.
Greatest Thief.
Yeah.
He's planning to steal a Blightsteel Colossus. That's what he's planning. All right, Fetch does give Brian a reshuffle, so
There's Lotus. One of the cards needed here. It does say Greatest
Yeah.
Thief.
love it.
He had to finish the card's title. Dig.
Oh,
We're
it's
digging.
Dig is, that makes it much harder.
Kosh has a little bit of a sweat now. Not like big, but a little bit.
Dak is gold, though. Lotus Dak. Oh, Dak was the first card.
Oh my god, get the Lotus. Get a Lotus.
It doesn't
another
help.
one.
He already played his land this turn, didn't he? Isn't this his Time Walk turn? Yeah.
Yep.
Nothing.
Mhm.
Get the handshake from Brian. It was a pretty cool game. Match isn't over. It's just game one.
Just
but
game one. That's for everyone saying that this was going to be a slow, boring match.
I never said boring.
Oh, okay. Well, slow, yeah.
I stand by slow. That was 2 turns.
That's definitely the.
There were a lot of that, a lot of plays, and a lot of thinking and shuffling
Yeah.
in those 2 turns, but not boring by any stretch.
That would have been fun to see Dak Faden stealing from Dak Faden, stealing from Dak Faden.
It could have. I mean, that was totally why Akash is already reminding his Dak what his real job is, what his real title, the hidden implied title.
So looking at the boards here, I love Brian Kelly's sideboard.
Okay, why?
Just
Tell me.
Stormbreath Dragon. What a sweet card. I played that in Standard.
Stormbreath Dragon.
Well, I mean,
Why does he have a Stormbreath Dragon?
So Stormbreath Dragon, it's protection from white, so it kind of
Sure.
fades towards the plowshares.
Grizzlebrand fades swords to plowshares
Yeah,
much more effectively, in my opinion.
But that card's way cooler.
Grizzlebrand is not technically a dragon. I'll give you that.
Stormbreath 2 you can also more likely cast. It's only 5 mana, and then
Right,
you
sure.
can go monstrous. Who doesn't want to go monstrous?
Vintage players. This isn't a thing.
This is Brian Kelly's world. We're just living in it. And then we have Gisela. Awesome.
I mean,
sweet card.
like
yeah.
you do. Gisela Blade.
Magus of the Moat, a standard sideboard.
Magus of the Moat is the most exciting of those. I think Magus of the Moat
card
is
that's
card
a
is
great card.
sweet technology.
Oh yeah, that is so awesome. I love that card. Definitely a great addition to the sideboard for Oath decks. Cavern of Souls, Sudden Shock, Hurkyl's Recall. Do you think he's going to bring in the recall now that he saw that? Give himself an extra answer. We have 2 Ancient Grudges, a Mindbreak Trap, Pithing Needle, Spellbomb, Tormod's Crypt, more for the Dredge.
Yep.
And then Kosh, we have.
Yeah. I don't know how much of that comes in.
What do you think? Yeah, what do you think Brian's going to bring in? Any of these sweet creatures?
I'm not sure I'm capable of getting inside
Calculating,
the brain of Brian Kelly. Like, it could be that he thinks, it could easily be that he thinks that Cavern of Souls is relevant, and he wants to just be hard casting creatures like Stormbreath Dragon. That may just be where he thinks this matchup belongs. I mean, if you've got a Cavern of Souls in your sideboard, it's got to be for blue matchups, like by definition.
Well, yeah, and especially going against control deck, you don't want to miss your land drops.
Right. I don't know how well he knows Akash's list, but this is about as control as the blue decks get.
Yeah, I mean, Slice and Dice is probably coming out. Fire Spout probably coming out.
Yeah, I mean, those are good against the Pyro version. He didn't see a ton. I mean, a lot of this also depends how well does he know Akash, how well does he know the list. Like, all he saw was, you know, the normal. He saw Grixis colors, and he saw a turn 2 Tinker for Blightsteel. He saw Dak Faden, and he saw Tinker.
So you can just put him on almost a standard Grixis control deck.
Right. He's probably not going to be that far off.
No, not really.
I mean, it could be young Pyro based from what Brian saw. It isn't, but it could be. I feel like.
I don't with the Tinker package. I don't know if I would put it there.
Yeah, you might be right. I mean, the Pearl is never in those lists, so.
I don't know if I would put it there with the Tinker package.
I'll buy that. So he probably can get pretty close, even just off the 2 turns of magic that he saw there.
Say, Kosh probably just bringing in Pyroblast, Grafdigger's Cage, and then that looks like that's about it. I don't see much really coming in on the other side here against Brian Kelly. Yeah, and again, I mean, we saw it earlier. Kosh does look a little pre-boarded versus a lot of these blue decks out there. So he's constructed his sideboard in a way where he has a lot of different 1-ofs and a couple 2-ofs where he's just making minor tweaks.
No, it's a great point. Yeah. I mean, we've been singing Brian Kelly's praises, obviously, and I mean, he's won this tournament before. He keeps making deep runs. You know, he's been by far the most successful player across the Magic Online leagues. Deserves all the praise. But at the same time, you got to tip your hat to Naidu here. He showed up. He said, I want to play the blue deck that can beat the other blue decks. He's 7-1, and who's he playing against and is winning in? A blue deck.
Yep.
Like, he's drew up a plan, picked the right weapon for the metagame he was expecting, and he make it paid off here.
Yeah, no, definitely well positioned. Can I change my bet back to? No, I'm sticking with Brian Kelly. I'm sticking with Brian Kelly. The Dragon Lord will figure out a way.
Well, we'll see. All right.
Here we go. Staying with my pick.
Down a game?
Down a game? He's on the play. He's on the play. He's got this. Alrighty. Saw a Force of Will flash out of the Kosh's hand. Oh my god, look, he's got the old Flooded Strand, but the new Polluted Delta. Nope. Calling, breaking the rules on that one. We are Force of Willing a Mox.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Brian
obviously announced what he was about to do, which we didn't know what it was. Yeah. I'm like, Brian clearly said what he was going to cast, and Akash is responding. It was Sylvan Library.
Pretty crazy if he's just like, nah, this Mox is a little too much. Yeah, get this Mox off the field.
So no Sylvan Library for Brian Kelly.
Looks like
it's a very good card in the control mirror. So it's probably a scarier 1G enchantment than the Oath of Druids in this match.
Oh yeah, definitely. If we're grinding out some value, exactly what Akash is looking to go to the long game. Yep. He doesn't want that library down. And then Preordain here. Trying to see what else is in Akash's hand. We got the Jace. We got another Force of Will. We got Mox, Ruby. And then Time Walk from Brian Kelly. Looked like a Fluster Storm. Wasn't sure. He's going to walk looking just to get an extra card here.
Yeah, no land drop.
He's got a Lotus. There's an Orchard.
Yep.
There's the Lotus.
And the big finale.
Drum roll, please.
The big finale is your turn.
Kosh looks like he has 2 blue cards, one being Jace.
I really wanted Brian Kelly to hard cast Inferno Titan there. That's what I wanted to see.
He's waiting for the Cavern of Souls, clearly. Oh, just draw, go. Oh, there's Dak on the other side here for Kosh. Draw, go, I feel, has got to strongly favor Kosh here. Looks like he wants to cast Dak here.
Yeah, makes sense.
I can just barely see Brian Kelly's hand. I want to see what's in there. And here comes the Dak.
Hard to know how hard Brian should fight over this when we can't see his hand. It's annoying. It's definitely not a card you want your opponent to have. But at the same time, depending on how aggressive Brian's hand is, yeah, you're just giving him filtering. Maybe you lose your Mox, maybe you lose your Lotus.
Yeah, we can't see Brian Kelly's hand, so that, like I said, does put a hindrance on kind of how hard he should fight for this. Kosh does have protection for his Dak here. He has Force, and it looks like he has, at least, he definitely has a Jace that he can pitch. I think he has another blue card that he can also pitch to this as well.
Sorry, that was ways that Kosh can force a will the Dak?
Force a will to protect.
I'm not sure I would.
Oh yeah, it was probably just he was probably just running out to see.
Yeah, I
if
feel
the
like I
coast
would.
Was clear, yeah.
I would trade it for anything capable of countering it.
Oh yeah, especially if it's a Force getting that too.
Right.
Kosh picked up another Dak Faden and Blightsteel on that.
It's funny. I see a nice discussion going on in chat about Brian's. I mean, we keep talking about this Inferno Titan and, you know, Brian Kelly's eccentric choices in Oath. I mean, a lot of the logic behind it is, sure, if you get to activate Oath of Druids, you'd rather be putting Grizzlebrand or Emrakul or some gigantic fatty into play. But Brian is a big believer in hard casting his creatures. He likes his Oath decks to be capable of just summoning the monster and then attacking with it and being able to skip the whole Oath of Druids part of the deck completely. And
not have to rely on resolving Oath, and that's know why you see the Cavern of Souls, the Magus of the Moat, Stormbreath Dragon, all cards that are a little easier to cast than Grizzlebrand.
And even I mean, speaking of easy to cast, the Auriok Salvagers he had in the list he won with, and that he had in this list last weekend on Magic Online. It's a 4-mana creature. Why are you bothering to go through all the hoops Oath of Druids makes you jump through for a 4-mana creature? It's like, well, what if they have a Grafdigger's Cage? I Oath, I hit my Salvagers, then I draw it with my draw step, cast it, and win the game.
So Brian Kelly kept in Ancient Grudge. I got to believe he still thinks Kosh probably has Vault Key in his deck.
Sure.
I mean, and given what he saw game 1 with the Tinker Blightsteel, there's no reason to think otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, he could be an outcome deck for all Brian knew. We were talking about what else he could be based on what we saw. Maybe the Dak says he's not an outcome deck, but maybe an outcome value deck could have Dak in an outcome value deck. All right.
And that's why Kosh kept the extra Dak to kind of use as force fodder.
Ooh, that's a good Flusterstorm. Yeah, Brian set up the dig through time, sacked the Lotus for mana, but did not tap his Orchard. He left himself Flusterstorm. Flusterstorm wins in a fight versus Force of Will. That's just how that works. It's at least a 2-for-1, and maybe also forces through the spell you cared about. Flusterstorm resolves, but no, Akash says so does the dig. Here we go.
Brian Kelly looking to get some ammo here. Oh man, that'd be so great to see a hardcast Inferno Titan here.
A little harder now that the Lotus is gone,
Yeah.
but
Looks like Brian Kelly had a Force in hand and a Force in his pile. Looked like a mental misstep in the dig pile. Is that a Brainstorm? Also looks like a Demonic Tutor in there. So yeah, it looks like he picked up the Demonic Tutor and maybe the Brainstorm? Yep. Akash is going to go cruising.
sure. Yeah, that was all on Akash's turn. Brian actually responded to Dak.
Dak attempting to steal the Lotus.
Yeah.
And we're going to get some token beats. So Brainstorm, Jace, and Force for Akash. Brian Kelly has his own Brainstorm. Force, Misty, and Oath. So it looks like we're going to have a battle here for an Oath here soon.
Yeah, it seems like a good spot for Oath of Druids. It's already got the Orchard. It's already got creatures on the other side. It's the thing Akash basically must fight over. Taps the Orchard rather than crack his fetch land.
Oh, Akash didn't. He might not have had the Force.
He's gonna go.
He just peeled the Force with the last
Oh,
card
did he?
off the Brainstorm. Yes, he did. Third card, and it was the Force of Will. And it looks like he picked up a Knight's Whisper there as well, and he has a Tinker in hand. So Akash probably trying to determine his sequence for here and next play. Oh, he's pitching the Tinker.
Interesting. Oh, he doesn't have any artifacts, does he? Funny. Nothing to sack to it. So there's Force of Will discarding Tinker. Brian has Force of Will and blue card. So his Force of Will, blue card. I think this last card might be Demonic Tutor.
Yes, it is.
But he's going to go ahead and fight over this Oath. And it works. So Oath of Druids is in play.
And so does Akash have a way to get rid of a Oath of Druids that is resolved? His only answer is a Grafdigger's Cage. 1. He will not be removing that Oath of Druids.
Here's Chase the Mind Sculptor.
That also deals with things that pop out of.
Sort of. Depends what they are. It doesn't do very well against Inferno Titan.
Well, it's exactly. He's going to need 2+ here.
No. He decides he wants cards. It is interesting how plus would let it survive an Inferno
Yeah,
Titan.
it would let it survive
and
the
then
Inferno,
bounce
and
it.
then you just bounce it. He's just going all in on looking for the Grafdigger's Cage, hoping to kind of just survive the first Oath activation, so to speak.
Players in the 6 o'clock Vintage Bounty. Pairings for round 3 are being posted. 6 o'clock Vintage Bounty players.
And here we go. Oh, Grizzle Daddy's in the house.
Right where Brian put it, by the way. He never did crack that Misty. He put it there with that Brainstorm. Brian's really conscious about. He's really conscious about how the risk of accidentally decking yourself with an Oath of Druids. So he's a big fan of knowing where the creatures are in his deck, knowing, oh, there's dig through time cards on the bottom that aren't creatures. So cracking that Misty would have shuffled. He would
That's
no
a
longer
great
be
point.
confident that the bottom 5 were not creatures, and he also, I think, brainstormed that Grizzlebrand back to the top. So Grizzlebrand in play. I mean, I understand the really exciting part is the 7/7 flying trample lifelink demon that's also going to draw him 7 cards.
Everyone likes getting a free hand.
But you got to appreciate the subtleties of a well-piloted deck.
No, that's a great point. That's why you typically see Brian Kelly do very well with Oath decks.
All right, now what? Akash just sits patiently. Hands folded, cards face down on the table. Am I going to get another turn? What do you think the odds are that Akash gets another turn?
Not very high. I think you're just going to set up Demonic Tutor for Time Walk here. And if Akash does get another turn, I don't think he's going to be able to do too much with it. That's got to be a Time Walk, right? That Brian Kelly just kind of Demonic Tutored for?
He has the Vault Key, right? I mean, in his deck. Isn't that what he often oaths into, or?
No, he does not have Vault Key.
Does not
in the
have
deck.
Vault Key.
Nope, he's just...
Oh, with Yawgmoth's Will.
Okay. If he already has the Time Walk, then... Oh, showed him a Soul Ring. Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
Uh-oh.
So he cannot combo off and win the game? He has to attack with his monsters?
He has to... Yeah, he has to enter the red zone. He does not have a... Oops,
No Bomberman and no Vault Key?
Mm-hmm. Does not have the Oops, I Win combo. Oh, there's... Oh, Time Walk's already in the bin. Oh, yeah, that's right. He went turn 2 Time Walk.
Mm-hmm. So Yawgmoth's Will is like Time Walk.
Well, it's going to cast the Time Walk.
Right, exactly. Did he exile it with the Delve? Or is it still in the yard?
His Delve pile is over to the left. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, no, I think he left the walk
I think
in the
he
yard.
left that in there. He was very conscious of the cards he left in there.
Yeah. Yep. There's the walk. Does he have enough mana left for the DT? Yes, he does have enough mana left over for Demonic Tutor. It feels like he just wants another Time Walk, but there isn't one. What do you even get here? What's left? Force of Will.
Yeah, I mean, you just grab some counter spells, protect, because you're going to have to enter the red zone here. I wonder how that would have played out if maybe Akash would have used his DAC to steal an artifact and then tinker out.
I don't think it helps him. I mean, whatever.
Oh, if he brought in Cage, he could have maybe even tinkered in the Cage.
Oh, Tinker for Cage is cute.
Yeah.
Use DAC to steal Mox and then Tinker for Cage. That actually might have worked.
Because that's probably why he pitched the Tinker early.
Didn't Brian have Ancient Grudge?
He Ancient Grudge the first one. Make him use the Ancient Grudge again, though.
Okay, you haven't accomplished very
Yeah.
much. If all you've done is force Brian to flash back the Ancient Grudge that's in his graveyard, I'm not impressed with this line.
Well, if it was delved out, though, from the dig through time. I don't know if it was still in there.
I think it was after the dig through time, but I'm not positive. Yeah, Tinker Blightsteel would not have helped Akash. Tinker Cage is relevant, but I think Ancient Grudge had it covered.
And there's the Inferno Titan. I mean, Akash is still going to get another turn here.
Kills the Dak, not the Jace. That's interesting.
Griselbrand probably going after Jace here.
Not a lot of library left for Brian Kelly.
It would be, how many cards does Brian Kelly have? Could he set up a, is there a line where Akash can go recall you, Snapcaster recall you again?
Yes, that looked like 5-ish to me. No, Brian Kelly, he spends one of them on a Gitaxian probe.
Well, that spell bomb put that to rest.
You see Akash is playing with his hand face up now because of the Gitaxian probe. And he's
seen enough.
Brian, I believe, showed him a counterspell.
Ah, okay.
And Brian was going to have to give Akash a turn, but with, you know, he drew 7 off the Griselbrand. He just flashed him a hand that was good enough that getting it one more turn, not good enough. And I do think, you know, both players obviously highly incentivized to finish this.
Yeah, oh, you do not want to pick up an unintentional draw here.
They would both like to have one of them clinch top 8.
Yeah, you don't want to pick up a draw here.
It's actually not a catastrophe because basically you both get a win in next round to get to X 1-on-1. But it's not good. You'd rather get one of you guaranteed in rather than both of you with the right to join what might be a tiebreaker scrum. Like we could wind up, depending on how many IDs there are in the last round, could be a tiebreaker scrum.
No, I definitely think that's what we're going to be looking at here.
Oh, you can't flashback Grudge on Cage, of course. I'm an idiot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There we go.
Tinker for Cage probably does work.
All right, rubber match. I'm sticking with Brian Kelly.
And Cage obviously also stops the Ogwa. Interesting. I wonder if he... So instead of fighting over the Force of Will, instead of using the Force of Will to fight over the Oath of Druids, I don't know. He needs another blue card for this line to work.
So, yeah,
because Brian has Force of Will, right? What actually happened is Akash goes Force of Will your Oath, pitching my Tinker. Brian goes Force back, defending my Oath. Oath resolves. And then Akash basically couldn't do much on his turn. The hypothetical line is if he can hold on to his Tinker, he did have blue cards because he ended the game with...
He had the Jace. He would have had to have just pitched the Jace. So
that's fine.
Well, see, he valued the Jace because he was thinking, all right, well, I can just maybe bounce the person or digging for extra cards.
Yep. Could chat be right?
You can say it. I'm not going to say it.
Maybe. Let's think about this.
The jury's out.
Jury's still out, but if he pitches Jace, or Dig for that matter, and keeps his Tinker...
He may have overvalued the Jace.
Well, he may also have failed to realize Dak can steal an artifact. Like, the key to this whole line, the Tinker only has value if Dak steals a Pearl.
Well, he tried to steal a Lotus. I think he...
Is this all in that turn? No, this is a different turn.
No, this is a different turn. But I don't think he failed to realize Dak steals artifacts.
No, obviously not. But that it turns on his Tinker.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because he did kind of just cheapestly pitch out the Tinker there.
Right. If he pitches with Jace and lets the Oath... If he pitches with Jace to try to stop the Oath, sure, that's plan A. But then when Brian has the Force back, if he's holding a Tinker, Dak can steal an artifact. He can attempt to Tinker out of Cage.
Yeah.
And, I mean, Brian still has a couple of cards left. We know, in fact, Brian has a Demonic Tutor in his hand. So it's probably Demonic Tutor for an Ancient Grudge. And, like, it takes a turn or two because Brian's mana's a little pinched, especially when he loses the Pearl. But I think Brian still gets to Oath, but I think he has to use his Demonic Tutor to clear the Cage.
Well,
I think how that plays out.
That does give Akash another turn, too. So
totally agree. Totally agree. I'm just saying, I don't think...
It's definitely not a slam dunk like then Akash runs away with the game.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure mana-wise it would have been a better play. I think that Akash did have the ability to Tinker out of Cage. I mean, you're sure he's got cages in his sideboard, right?
Yeah, he has one Grafdigger's
cage. One
cage.
Grafdigger's Cage, which we presume he sideboarded in because.
And again, I mean, let's be super honest. You're now round 9. You've been battling all day. That's not the super intuitive play. You know, hindsight's 20/20.
Yeah.
So we've all been there. We've all, you know, kind of had that brain fart moment.
Yeah, I don't think that rises to the level of brain fart, but let's watch game 3.
Yeah.
Net result of all that, instead of playing a more complicated game 2 where Brian doesn't instant win,
We now have a game 3.
we get a game 3.
And so we got some Xeroxing going on Josh Akash's side here. Sudden shock.
Turn 2 Oath of Druids is the important part of the story.
So Brian Kelly brought in sudden shock.
Huh. Maybe worried about Notion Thief. Maybe worried about Young Pyro. Maybe one thinks he can kill Planeswalker with it. Maybe he just thinks, you know what? This is better than my Slice and Dice.
Yeah, better than Slice and Dice or the Fire Spout. Well, and again, Brian Kelly's deck has to red zone, so that can just push through the last 2 points damage, and then Akash can do nothing about it.
Not worth a card slot in the deck in general, but sure.
Yeah.
All right, Brian has stuck an Oath of Druids. He does not have a Forbidden Orchard to turn it on with.
Demonic Tutor.
Demonic Tutor. Is this going to be Grafdigger's Cage? Is there something better?
So
Does it just
Akash
go
has a
for-
Pyroblast in hand. I don't think he runs it out here. He's probably gonna wait a turn, especially since Brian Kelly doesn't have a way to trigger the Oath yet.
All right. I didn't see what he got there. I mean, he could also just get Ancestral for value here. It's not insane, especially with a Pyro to protect it. I don't know. Probably got to go Cage.
Yep, Cage. Or wait, no. Did he get Cage? Yes.
He got Cage, and he had a Mox so that he could just cast it here with Pyroblast up for defense.
Brian Kelly has a Hurkyl's Recall in hand.
Okay. So once he manages to give Akash a creature, he's going to be able to Hurkyl's the Cage with the Oath trigger on the stack.
So then they'll be fighting over the Hurkyl's Recall. And we have a Snapcaster Mage. Makes things a little awkward with the Spell Bomb out there. And Grafdigger's Cage. You can't even actually use the Snapcaster Mage.
Yep, it's a 2-1. Knight's Whisper, much better than Snapcaster Mage. You heard it here.
OP. And it looks like Kosh is building his defenses nicely here. Force of Will, we got Misstep, we got a DAC, we got a Pyroblast. And Kosh is going to attempt to Misstep without paying the life here at Preordain. And Brian Kelly is not hitting land drops right now.
Right. All the more reason to misstep his Preordain. Huge game here. The winner is probably going to get to draw into top 8 next round. The loser is probably not coming back to play Vintage on Sunday.
There's definitely a lot on the line on this game. Akash is holding defenses up here, not really forcing the issue with Dak Faden. He has a Time Walk in hand, it looks like. Picked up a second Dak Faden.
All of which is kind of okay for Brian. Like, Brian is kind of mana screwed, and he's also got some defense in his hand, right? I think that's a Flusterstorm, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. He's got the Hurkyl's for later to fight over Cage.
Brian's fine just drawing for now, trying to sculpt a line in his hand to Hurkyl's, get rid of the Cage. He's going to get a peek here of what Akash is beginning to build.
Oh gosh, just thinking about fighting over this. Nope.
Nope.
Lets it resolve. 2 Dak Fadens, so...
Most likely Dak Faden will be named.
I mean, Akash does also have a Misty. Like, you could Stone Rain him if you wanted to. I think naming Dak is probably better. I think. There's no red mana if you cack his Misty.
You do turn him off red mana. That could be pretty big. I think the card... does Akash have one more card in hand? I thought he had a Pyroblast.
So what did he name?
Do we have what he named?
Dak Faden, sure.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, so there was the Pyroblast. That's interesting, though, right? You see the Pyroblast, you see Dak Faden. Maybe just... Yeah, I think it's a little too risky, though.
I mean, you're not about to win or anything. I mean,
Yeah.
how many draw steps are you going to have to fade to cut him off this red mana, right? He's got a Scalding Tarn now, too, so maybe there was a Tarn off camera to the left.
And Gush, it looks like Kosh is going to respond. He's going to get... Is he going to Pyroblast this?
Yup.
And then Brian Kelly is going to fire off a Brainstorm with one of the floating mana from the Gush. This is going to end very nicely for Mr. Kelly if he gets to fire off that Flusterstorm too. Well, if he needs to.
All right, here's Misstep on Brainstorm.
So now you can start spreading. Now you almost got to start thinking about that Flusterstorm and where you can spread it around that.
Note that Akash actually paid life for the Misstep, for leaving up untapped mana. He's got 5, but Flusterstorm could be relevant right now. It's the difference between paying 4 and
It'd
not.
be 5 copies on the stack.
Nope. Akash wins that skirmish. No Brainstorm.
Yeah, it looks like Brian Kelly
no
wants
Gush.
to kind of keep his counters for when he has to go to war over kind of the Hurkyl's getting rid of the cage here.
Wow.
And Akash,
That's risky.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
Snapcaster into Oath, trusting in his defense grid. I mean, sorry, not his defense grid. His
defenses.
His defenses, which is a Grafdigger's Cage.
Right, and just picked up Tinker.
Which does not do anything with Grafdigger's Cage in play unless you tinker away the cage.
Oh,
Oh, no, this doesn't work,
wait,
dude.
what? Oh, no, please don't be Tinker for Blightsteel. What's he going to Tinker for?
Oh, no.
Oh, here we go.
He's totally trying to tinker for
Is
Blightsteel.
he?
I don't think he has anything else
Is he going to grab the
exciting.
Blightsteel?
I mean, he's going to wind up grabbing like a Mox or a Soul Ring or something. Oh, he goes Black
he's
Lotus.
gonna go
Okay,
for Los.
I figured it out.
Mana neutral. Thin to win.
And that wasn't really the plan.
Yeah. Oh, that would have been so risky if he's just like, you know what, YOLO.
Oh, man, he had the Time Walk set up for the win.
Oh, wow.
I mean, hypothetically,
Yeah.
right? If he gets Blightsteel there, this Time Walk is lethal.
Would you have gone for it then?
Sack
In
my
his
cage?
seat? Yeah.
It depends if he has counters back. I wouldn't go to it. I wouldn't go all in on that plan if I didn't have the ability to defend it from permission. Like, you got to put Brian on 1 or 2 counters still. Even I mean, all you did was win a fight over a Gush.
Yeah. I wonder if Brian letting him win that fight over Gush is to kind of, you know, lull him into, you know, when he's going to fight over the Hurkyls.
He just wanted to trade resources, wasn't interested in taking all his defenses down. All right. Time Walk turn does result in a Snapcaster attack. But now Can Brian win a fight over a Hercules? Doesn't want to try it with no mana for his Flusterstorm, so I think he's got Force of Will and blue card and Flusterstorm.
I think at the end of this turn is where we're going to see the battle for Hercules.
Maybe. The Flusterstorm's not very good against all that mana. Hilariously, the Tinker actually sort of counters that future Flusterstorm by just plopping a Black Lotus into play for no good reason. Here's
And
Hercules.
here we go.
Here's Pyroblast.
Here we go.
If Brian can bounce that cage back into Akash's hand, he's going to get to activate his Oath of Druids. Lets the Pyroblast counter it. I think he does have a Force of Will and he does have a Flusterstorm.
Yep.
But the Flusterstorm wasn't going to work.
And Snapcaster was just laying the beats.
Yeah. Brian down
And
to
Akash
11.
keeps drawing mana sources too, which actually helps him if Flusterstorm becomes relevant. And Brian Kelly keeps sending back the turn.
That Snapcaster can't go all the way, can it? It's not a thing, is it?
Here comes a Jace down. He's thinking about it. He's just going.
Sure. Has to decide how he wants to pay for it.
Is Brian Kelly getting ready for a dig through time?
It's also trying to decide how much he can use to fight over this Jace. No,
Yep,
he's going to dig as a
Yeah,
response.
he's going to dig, yeah. I saw him grab his graveyard. It looked like he was getting ready for a dig. Keeps the red open in case he spikes a Pyro.
Ooh. Force of Will pitching a DAC.
And now
Brian
we're going to war.
forces back. Akash, again, could have actually tapped 5 to pay for the Force of Will, but he wisely leaves 5 untapped mana. Force
back.
again. I didn't see what he pitched
Mind
to
Break
this one.
Trap. Oh, wow. Just clears the
Holy
stack.
Brian Kelly. So he counters the Jace and defends his dig through time. He managed to get into a counter war while his dig through time was on the same stack as Josh's Jace. Wow. Crazy.
And so we know that's kind of what he was clearing for, kind
And
of a
Akash
critical
is-
juncture here.
Akash is hellbent, right? No cards in his
Yeah.
hand. Hats off to you, sir. Brian Kelly, ladies and gentlemen.
That is a masterclass of skill right there.
Dig through time finds him some stuff, maybe. He's still got a Force. He's still got a Flusterstorm. He does not seem to have
Inferno
a...
Titan. I think he's just going to slam Inferno Titan. And this is also one of the reasons I think Brian Kelly likes being able to just have his guys being able to get cast.
Oh, for sure.
Doesn't just ignore the cage.
All
So
right.
Koch looks like he only has 1 card left in hand.
But it's just his top deck. Okay, and the Spell Bomb drew Brian into a Grudge. Mana Drain, no. I still have a Force of Will. Josh, Akash, the Josh in parentheses is throwing me off. Akash was kind of lucky to draw the Mana Drain there.
Right there, yeah.
Well, no, Brian still had it covered. And now he gets to activate Oath of Druids. Grizzle Daddy.
Wow, what a turnaround here.
Unbelievable. Doesn't get to draw cards. The Snapcaster did beat him down to 6. Does get to hard cast Inferno Titan. Although that turns the Oath on. Right?
Oh, yeah.
So Akash can Oath into...
Blightsteel
oh, no. Okay,
Colossus.
2 Forbidden Orchards.
yeah.
My bad. Brian had not 1 but 2 Forbidden Orchards, so he cannot activate an Oath into a...
Oh, he's dealing 3
Blightsteel.
directly to Akash here.
Wants to leave him with creatures in play, so he can't Oath. Crazy.
And it looks like, what was that? Draw was Mox Pearl, look like? And extends the hand. Wow. Brian Kelly
Brian Kelly, ladies and gentlemen.
patiently
That was insane.
waiting with all of his counter magic for the right moment. Found the right moment.
That was absurd. That was just amazing magic.